look at these retail vaults and you say, okay, these are retail driven products, but for the most part, they have actually been a lot of our institutional clients that have tried some of the products on the other side because they trust us.
FXRP is your XRP on Flare. It is a one-to-one representation of XRP within our blockchain. We aren't creating spurious units of XRP or, by some kind of magic. For every unit of XRP that is minted onto Flare as FXRP, a unit is deposited on the XRP ledger. So it doesn't increase supply. It's just a mirroring of the asset effectively onto Flare so it can be used within Flare's compute environment.
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another Friday Wealth 28 Club podcast. In today's breakdown, we're just going to be going over some DeFi protocols, discussing and talking about some institutional and regulated platforms. We're going to talk about XRP yield generation. Aqua's going to give a little bit of a presentation of a platform that we've been paying very close attention to. In last week's call, we touched on the Soil platform, another regulated platform on the XRPL, where you can earn 8% yield on your RLUSD stablecoins. Today, we're going to be discussing and talking about this Upshift platform. And I also have, to go hand in hand with Aqua's presentation of the platform, some video clips from the co-founder that, in my personal opinion, just show the trust that institutions have in the platform, coming directly from the co-founder of Upshift. So we'll get into that as well. And then obviously, of course, we got to talk about Metal blockchain, Marshall Hayner. Aqua's got some stuff to share with you guys about the credit unions. And we know that MetalX is the only on-chain BSA compliant decentralized finance platform in the world. And so here in the Wealth 28 Club, we've been shifting our focus quite frequently over the last year to regulated platforms and positioning our capital, if we are going to be positioning ourselves in DeFi, on platforms that are regulated, that are compliant with the regulatory requirements in this ever-evolving space, and that meet the needs of institutional investors. And then last but not least, once we're done that conversation, I'm going to roll over and discuss some ongoing happenings in the Canton network. We just had a new listing. And then I also want to cover this post from this gentleman, Zach CLG, Chainlink God. He said something very interesting that I actually agree with, that Eric recently highlighted in a podcast from the roll-up just 2 days ago. So I want to hint at that as well in today's video breakdown. But outside of that, that's what we're going to be touching on. If you guys enjoy, if you're on X, do us a favor, repost to the stream so we can get more viewers on, more like-minded individuals like yourselves watching today's Friday podcast. If you're over on YouTube, shout out to you guys. We love to see the comments in the chat. Outside of that, though, Aquaman, Grand Rising, brother, how are you this Friday?
Yeah, Grand Rising, brother. I'm good. How you doing, bro?
Phenomenal, man. This week was very nice.
yeah. On the trading side of things, I'm sure that's what you're referring to. I'm actually I'm in a trade right now. I took a position on Bitcoin, a short position, and yeah, I'm just in pure profit at this moment, just watching it. So
it's so lovely, man. It's so lovely. I'm gonna really sit down with Mr. Man over the next consecutive couple of weeks and try and get him trained up on the CYPRX 2.0 and get him, just really tapped into the institutional dark pools and deltas that we have on XRP, so we can really, he's a very loud voice in the XRP community, and we just need more people to really hone in on not paying attention to these bullish Moonboy price predictions and all this bullcrap that exists out there in the influencer space in regards to XRP, and really just honing in on accuracy. So I'm super excited. Yeah, this week, bro, was nuts for me in trading. I made over 100K this week alone. So.
Yeah, bro. And that's peanuts compared to some others too, what they're making, like Scalper.
There's in our community this week that made $375,000 in one trade.
Yeah. It's it's very rewarding. Got to tap in. So,
all right. I want to start here before I pass the sticks back over to you to go over the Upshift platform. And then, I don't know how you wanted to do it. Honestly, the way that you broke things down yesterday during our call with the private community was A1. So if you want to just run that, but I wanted to bring this up here. Upshift posted this and they said, as more institutions come on chain, hold on, let me ask, do you want to do the Upshift breakdown first? Do you want to do the Metallicus breakdown first and the video clips that you played yesterday?
Let's do this one first, the Upshift first, and then we can jump into those clips for sure.
Well, then I'll play a little video clip from this lady. So Upshift posted this and it says, as more institutions come on chain, flexible vault infrastructure matters more than ever. With Upshift, vault managers can run strategies across DeFi and CeFi, launch 30 plus chains like Ethereum, Solana, deploy capital, and generate yield on 80 plus different protocols and remain fully non custodial. And then they posted this little tiny clip. The co founder, Aya, I believe her name is, she's also the CEO of this organization called August Digital. And she's the co-founder, of course, of Upshift. And I remember something that she said on the Block podcast. And shout out to the Block, obviously, of course, for this podcast. But just listen to what she says about how the institutional interest in DeFi is like massive. It's massive, and all institutions are focused on either building out DeFi, possibilities, or they're interested in participating in DeFi. Take a second here and just listen to what she says before Aqua gives his breakdown on Upshift.
Those conversations have sped up dramatically, and almost to the point where it feels like every person I'm speaking to on a call, because these conversations now went from, oh, I can't have this discussion, to let's have all of the discussions. And we're all exhausted because suddenly the tap has been turned on again, and everyone wants to start a DeFi project, some sort of initiative, where even if they fork something
internally at the CeFi firms,
at banks. I'm talking much broader. I think a lot of the banks that we've spoken to are already engaged in DeFi in some way, shape, or form in a permission sense. And so, every bank, every large bank has someone tasked to work on this. And now those conversations are just sped up.
Every large bank has someone tasked to work on DeFi. That is such a massive statement, an eye opener if you're not already educated and participating in DeFi. At a minimum, that should be your wake up call to get educated.
Yeah, I love how he hit her with the bullish silence. Like, funny you say that. Banks, huh? You can see the excitement in his eyes.
So that goes hand in hand with this post where they said, as more institutions come on chain, flexible vault infrastructure matters more than ever. And so, this post, full circle, will come back to this podcast once Aqua's done his presentation. This co-founder of Upshift was also, her name is Aya Kontorovic. I'm probably butchering that, but she was also on a podcast just 2 weeks ago from the Crypto Builders of New York City podcast. And this only has 38 views, bro. And she says some juicy stuff here. So I'll let you have the floor here to do the little presentation for everybody on the Upshift platform. And then we'll listen to what she has to say from this. So I'll stop sharing my screen real quick.
Yeah. All right, cool. So again, not financial advice, but this is the protocol Upshift. This was on the backdrop in the video that we started with Hugo Filion. And when I came across Upshift, I didn't realize FXRP had a vault over here. What really drew me over here was the total value locked, which is basically, damn near 400 million, right? So I was like, let's go see what's going on over here. And right when I came over here, I was like, yo, they got FXRP. Like, because I remember talking about FXRP, kind of got put on the back burner. And, until just this past week coming across this, I was like, yo, this is actually, another potential opportunity to earn yield with our XRP. Now, this vault is filled. That's the unfortunate part. It says cap filled, but 3.46% to get on our XRP. And you can see there are some zero shy people, zero shy folks 35 million total value locked is quite a bit in XRP, right, to get locked up. And we didn't really hear too much about it, really from anybody. So, yeah, and let's face it, a lot of us XRP holders, we've been holding XRP for many, many years, and there's zero opportunities to earn yield with our XRP. To see this 3.5%, I was extremely excited, right? So basically, what did I do here? I connected my Bifrost wallet. So you can connect your Bifrost wallet. If you have a Bifrost wallet, you can go through the wallet connect. You could possibly maybe use other wallets, but I used the Bifrost wallet, and I was like, all right, what would the route be? Once this, this vault opens back up, I was like, what would the route be for me to get some FXRP in this vault? So let me just break that down for you guys here. So Hugo actually went over it on the video that we started with here. Hold on, let me share this tab. So you got a couple ways that you can go about doing it. So I connected my Bifrost wallet directly to Fassets' website, where you can mint your XRP into FXRP. Right now, there are going to be some fees. I don't know exactly what those fees are and what they will entail. I guess it depends on the amount and the time of day. But as you guys can see, there are fees because some protocols like Metallicus, for example, if you were to mint your stablecoin over on Metallicus on Metal X, there are no fees, right? So I was like, I wonder if it's the same thing with Fassets in this whole ecosystem. And it's definitely not. They have the fee breakdown. Where's it at here? The fee breakdown right here in the minting process. It's basically, yeah, here we go. Here's the fees right here. Now, I'm not saying these fees are going to be extraordinary, right? They can be, fractions of a fraction of a penny. But the fact is that there are some fees. Now, that's option number one, to turn your XRP into FXRP. The other option is you can connect to this protocol like Enosis, right? Where they got many different products over here, farms, liquidity pools, borrowing and lending, I believe, is coming as well. And you can swap over here. So you can swap, you can connect your Bifrost wallet to Enosis, and you can swap your XRP into FXRP. Now, the one thing I would say be fully aware of is the slippage that you're going to possibly, accrue when you're going through the swap process on Enosis and any other DEX. So be very, very careful for your slippage, because I've seen some people make some crazy mistakes with swapping, not paying attention to their slippage, and they lost like 50% of their bag. So be very, very careful. And again, like I said at the beginning of my presentation, not financial advice. You guys, you want to use your own discernment, and you really want to be tapped into a community like the Well 28 Club, where you can understand DeFi and you're not just, putting money out, and they can potentially turn into grenades and blow up on you and you lose it all, right? So tap in with a community where you can learn this, this information, like what impermanent losses and all that jazz. That's the reason why we created the Well 28 Club. But yeah, basically that would be the route to turn our XRP into FXRP. And once this opens back up, we can come back over here and deposit our FXRP and take advantage of, whatever the rate is today. It's 3.5, maybe, in a year from now, it goes up 5%, maybe, who knows, right? But Upshift seemed pretty legit. It was very, very smooth, like just connecting my wallet. And they have other, vaults over here that are open. And, what we rant and rave about is these stablecoin positions, right? That's what we love inside the Well 28 Club. And some of these vaults, paying out 7-8%. That's pretty solid. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the presentation on this platform. And again, not financial advice, guys. Use your own discernment, and don't be blindly using DeFi without really understanding what you're doing.
Can you go back to the Upshift platform real quick? I want to touch on a couple of different things that you mentioned, because they're just going to go hand in hand with what the co-founder, Aya, is going to say to you guys here in just a second. So you touched on the fact that this platform caught your attention because of the TVL. Can you just zoom in on that TVL and show people where to find it? Because this is a very serious number, believe it or not. Even though in regards to the size of traditional finance, it's peanuts. It's not even a little blip on the screen. But, when it comes to TVL on a DeFi protocol, this speaks very loudly of the protocol, right? Anything 50 million plus speaks loudly, in my personal opinion, on the DeFi protocol. But we have to understand this $397 million that you all are seeing right now, this is not retail. This is not retail funny money. Like retailers woke up and they're like, hey, I'm going to go earn some yield with this protocol. No, this is institutional interest. And don't take that from me. Take that directly from Aya, where she goes on to talk about that. So I'm going to come over here to this podcast real quick that she was on just 2 weeks ago. This is Aya, the co-founder of this Upshift platform, and listen to what she says here about institutional adoption of vaults.
So I think you're definitely seeing stablecoins push that, narrative.
So Aya, something that I've noticed in the realm of institutional crypto is that vaults are a really hot topic. And so I'd love to talk to you about how August and Upshift fits into this landscape.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Vaultification, we've been talking about this since 2025. And it's wild because it's been less than a year that we've really seen that term getting coined and used more broadly. And I think it's because of the ease in which it makes, whether it's back office, middle office, and front office, seamless in terms of, structuring assets and deploying capital on chain. And so what we've seen is it creates very little overhead to be able to, deploy a strategy, let users deposit into a vault structure, and then being able to make that composable in the DeFi and crypto environment. And that's the big unlock because, historically, what would happen is assets get tokenized, but then they sit idle once they're on chain, and you really don't unlock the composability that makes DeFi so unique. And, I talk with a number of people on this because, DeFi isn't always the cheapest option, but for some of these maybe longer tail assets or RWAs where money markets don't exist yet or lending markets don't exist yet, it's a really great step to be able to underwrite and borrow against. And so that composability is a huge unlock. And so we've seen vaults play out with Upshift offering, whether it's the accounting, and that's incredibly important in real time, in-house, the entire structure across 30 blockchains. We're today the only vault provider that is both live on Solana, EVM, and a number of other chains. Do full CFI and DeFi. So today our vaults will cross margin. We'll have clients who are trading in DeFi, trading in CFI in walled garden accounts, and we're able to run the accounting real time for that, as well as options trade. If you're doing something OTC, we're able to print the accounting for that. And so a lot of that, as you mentioned, August, a lot of that sits on a risk framework to be able to underwrite the assets, calculate the price of the assets, and then create the Oracle redundancy. And so that's where the August kind of prime stack will sit. It really holds the tools to be able to underwrite over 800 assets across all of these different platforms. Whereas Upshift is really, really focused on what is the flow of funds? What is the user experience? How are these B2B2C platforms integrated with us via SDK or APIs? And then what is the end user product going to look like? And today, what we've actually noticed is it's predominantly been white labeled, and most of our deposits actually happen through partners versus direct. And so that's been very interesting as well. Vaults really sit kind of in the back, behind the scenes of just Earn. And what does Earn look like today?
So I'd love to take a step back.
Yo, so did that mean Upshift, this vault is technically white labeled, and the 35 million came in from so many different angles?
Bro, what she just said, pretty much in a nutshell, is that these vaults that they provide are infrastructure grade for institutions. They're built for institutions. And because you just mentioned that 35 million, I want to go back to, you stop sharing your screen, but I want to go back to the Upshift platform real quick. Can you bring that back up to the stage? Okay, let me stop sharing this screen. Okay, so there's $35 million, right, deposited in the FXRP vault, okay? And this is not, again, retail money. Now, I'm not saying that it's all institutional money because it's clearly only $35 million. But your everyday average retail investor, if you look at the statistics in the document, doesn't have $1 million portfolio, if even a 5-figure portfolio for most retail investors. So these numbers are institutional allocators that are dipping their toes in DeFi. And I want you guys to listen to what she says here again, because she specifically says that institutions trust us. We have institutional depositors. Okay. So I'm not just making this up. This is her confirming this for you guys. Take a second over here. Let me reshare my screen and listen to what she has to say.
And have you talk about your journey from being a part of the Falcon X founding team?
Abilities is really reflective of you as a leader, but also the company in terms of its ethos and its culture. And so, yeah, I'm incredibly proud of the team, incredibly proud of the clients that have been with us through thick and thin. I think that is just a testament both to the product, but also to the people. There's a lot of trust that our clients have with us. And interestingly, we have seen a lot of our institutional clients become some of the largest depositors on Upshift. I think oftentimes you look at these retail vaults and you say, okay, these are retail driven products, but for the most part, they have actually been a lot of our institutional clients that have tried some of the products on the other side because they trust us. They know we're not going to, rug pull as maybe an Eric Adam might do, or
Yo, so check this out real quick. All right, so check this out. Let me share my screen again. What she's saying is not capped at all. And this vault is white labeled. So let me show you guys, because I just figured out something right now. So
Are you
let me
sharing
show
your screen?
you. Yeah, let me just share my screen one more time here. So this is the FXRP vault, right, on Upshift, 35.25 million. Now check this out. Let me share this tab instead. This is Firelight, the same vault, 35.25 million. And look, when you enter the vault on this side from Upshift, you get Upshift rewards and Firelight points. But if you come through just through Firelight, looks like you're just getting your, the Firelight reward points or whatever. But 35.25 million. So this vault is the same vault, basically, is what I'm trying to prove, right? And these institutions most likely came in from some other like route, but to the same vault, but they just didn't give it to us for us to see it and make it available to us. The way that we can get into the same vault is through Firelight or through Upshift.
Yeah, so they have some way on the back end, and our route is through these DeFi protocols. Bro, I'm telling you, this is clutch. The fact that she just said, surprisingly, most of our clients are actually institutional investors is huge. And she said, because they trust us, which it just leads into the ethos that we've been trying to follow of only participating in regulatory compliant DeFi protocols to really protect and preserve our capital, especially considering the ongoing regulatory happenings in this space. And Upshift, in my personal opinion, based on what we're hearing, based on what we're seeing, is one of those platforms that falls in the regulatory compliant category, right? Last video I'll play from this lady, she goes on to talk about institutional adoption on DeFi within banks. Take a second here and listen to what she has to say.
So, Aya, what would you say to naysayers who say that retail crypto is on the decline? I think I saw some stat around the search term for crypto on Google being at a 1-year nadir.
Yeah, it's a great question. At the end of the day, adoption happens whether it's on the retail side or the institutional side. And so while it may be at an all-time low for the retail, Google searches, that is absolutely not the case in terms of the adoption we're seeing on the institutional side within banks. And so, I think at the end of the day, if you think about, some of the
Bro, she said that is absolutely not what we are seeing on the institutional side within banks. So if you're a scared retail investor right now to get into crypto, these banks, man, I'll tell you what, when they get that green light and the sentiment shifts back risk on, me and Aqua have been saying it so long. We are about to see a bull run, the likes of which we've never, ever, ever seen before in crypto. And these prices that you're seeing right now, once these institutions finally come in, you're not ever going to get the opportunity to buy sub 2.5, $2.3 trillion market cap ever again.
Never again, bro. Never again. Can you imagine when there's, you know, who even knows, hundreds of, you know, potential possibilities to earn yield on the XRPL and other chains that these institutions have access to in the double digit, because we've also heard that double digit yield is going to be the norm in the future as well. These institutions are going to be flocking in. So retail, it doesn't even matter. You know, I heard this, man, maybe you've seen it too. David Schwartz was just on stage, I think in Australia or something like that. But he even said too, he was like, yo, like, it doesn't even matter if retail doesn't want to jump into DeFi. Institutions are going to be flooding in now. It doesn't even matter what retail wants to do or their opinion. I'm paraphrasing what he said. That's not probably verbatim what he said, but that's along the lines of what he was saying. So
we know that there's a company that's an X-Ripple representative launched, Ashish Burler launched Evernorth, right? Which is an XRP treasury company. And my prediction is that come year end, and I'll throw it out there, 2027, we're going to see 10 plus XRP native treasury companies with a sole focus to just accumulate the crap out of XRP and earn yield on it. And it's not just going to be XRP, it's going to be a multitude of different digital assets, Canton, XRP, obviously, of course, Solana. There's already treasury companies for Solana. Metallicus, like there's gonna be so many opportunities for these institutions to hedge against the volatility of these digital assets. And when they get the green light to house more than 2 to 5% of their balance sheet into crypto, oh my God, man. And that day is coming. That day is coming. And you don't want to be involved in crypto after that happens.